What's up, guys? Crickety crack. It's a Saturday afternoon. It's beautiful here in Oklahoma. It's about 80 degrees outside. Sunny as can be. No Bill Gates lines in the sky today. No Whitney Houston parties up in the heavens. And anyways, had a reschedule had to happen with a guest, and so I bring one of my favorites always to come back on the show, and he's always great at short notice too, Alex Pauls, and we're going to talk a little bit about it's not the tiny hat people today. It's not the dark skinned people today. It's not this. It's not the LGBTQ people. We're going to talk about something a little controversial because people might get a little ruffled. And it's not all of them, but boomers. Why are boomers turning us into doomers? And let's just get into that, man. So welcome back to the show, and thanks for coming on short notice, dude.
Oh man, thanks. And to rub it in my face with the nice weather, we have a foot of snow, and I'm not leaving the house, so I might as well podcast with you, my friend. So thanks for having me on.
Worked out. Hell yeah, it worked
In
out.
the middle of May. In the middle of May. We can't catch a break in Canada. I swear, if it's not the government that hates us, maybe Bill Gates hates us even more.
Yeah, he just flew up north for a little bit. He's just like, dump the snow. They're on to me.
Right?
Speaking of him,
Get
dude,
'em.
have you seen, speaking of boomers, and Bill Gates is technically a boomer, but the boomers
Oh
that are
yeah.
noticing, they're too busy saying Iran doesn't need a nuke in 47 years and all these, oh, they've been chaining death to America, all the Fox News talking points. That is hilarious because the right screams about the left and mockingbird media and all their talking points, safe and effective, safe at 6 foot distancing, when they were saying their points. Now the right's doing the same thing. They're just parroting the same bullshit over and over again, but they're not noticing Bill Gates is out there doing all these interviews talking about getting rid of beef supplies. He's also pushing his fake beef. He's talking about, more population control shit. He's talking about more vaccine stuff. You're like, if a guy's trying to help the world, why does he want, half the fucking population to disappear? It's kind of questionable.
Right? And he's been using Africa and India for his experimental zones for a long time. I'm actually surprised at how well they're breeding over there. Like they just keep multiplying like crazy. And I mean, that's another podcast to talk about how they're basically using India as a farm to replace Canada.
Oh yeah,
And
dude.
like it's wild what's happening here. Like it's very wild. And I'm not saying like my best friend, he's originally from India, his family's from India. But what's been happening in the last 5 to 10 years, it's just population replacement. Super bizarre. But
Mhm.
man, we're up against so many tentacles. Where do you begin? Right? Now, but that's
Right.
why the conspiracies never end. But we're just up against everything. It's wild.
Well, and like I said, boomers making us doomers. It's like a perfect title because it really is true because you got a Dan Bongino or other people, guys out there screaming, all these doomers out here that have no faith in the system or the plan. Yeah, we don't have any fucking faith in it anymore because you dickheads, Bongino age and older, have ruined it for this generation and the generations to come. And you're still ruining it while you're sitting back fucking retired or whatever, play a tough guy on the internet. Or even just, our parents' age or things. And it's not everybody. So I'm not taking this out on all older people, but it's also a mass group that is just like, it's shocking to see that, like, it's just parroting talking points. They're just whatever Trump does. Oh, what if we said Biden did all those things? Well, he didn't. Okay, then by that logic, he didn't, but Trump's doing it right now. So how come you're still not saying nothing? You get my point. Like, it's just a cognitive dissonance kind of thing.
Man, so what just popped into my head, and I never thought about this before, but while you were talking, I'm like, oh wow, let's blend a little bit of Terminator, a little bit of Doomsday, since we're being the doomers right now. What if they were bringing all these people from third world countries, and all these rich dudes were going to go down into their bunkers, and then they were going to release their robots, their Elon Musk robots, and then away they go? How wild would that be?
Of a bitch, Skynet jumped in. We was just getting a little too close to the truth. Some Terminator and Doomsday stuff and boomers and everything else. So sorry about that, guys. Spliced back in together. And Alex, where were you going with that?
Yeah, I was going to say, I actually think that it doesn't seem so science fiction now, as I was saying it out loud, that they would just import a bunch of third worlders to fight their robots while they sit in their underground bunkers and watch the whole thing. Maybe even control their robots like a video game as they go and just kill a bunch of third worlders, because I know that they don't see them as actual people. They're just
I
like,
didn't think about the video game aspect because we already do that with drones. And then the people that have, like in the military, that do drone strikes, like the actual person operating said drone, like US military or something, right? They
yeah,
get PTSD because it's a disconnect because you're staring at a screen instead of standing on a battlefield with the smoke and gunfire and blood smell and everything else, explosions around you, keeping it realistic. You're sitting there with headphones on, sipping a cup of coffee, just moving a mouse. Click, boom. It's weird. So I could totally see that.
Yeah, I mean, I you know way more conspiracies than me, but have you heard the one where I guess it was the Bushes that spent like 20 trillion to build these underground roads and connections between city to city underground?
Oh, I believe it. Yeah. I was talking with somebody last week, like the Boring Company and stuff. Elon Musk works with the government with all kinds of paychecks and stuff too. I think all those things are still continuing to go on because everybody talks about SpaceX and Tesla and X and all the other bullshit that Elon does. I'm not defending Elon, but that Boring Company building tunnels and shit underground. It's like, yeah, we already know there's tunnels. What if they're connecting existing tunnels to new tunnels and building this underground network? I mean, what was it, Turkey or something, where they found like an ancient
Yeah,
underground
yeah,
city that could have housed like 20,000 people or some shit? You
exact.
never
That blew
know.
my mind. That blew
Yeah.
my mind when I saw that. And when I was in Switzerland, I was driving through the mountains, and I could not believe how they could bore so perfectly through the mountains and make these perfect tunnels. Because in Canada, we don't really have that. You're basically doing switchbacks and going around, and they did it really. I mean, it was dangerous. It was brutal when they built the stuff here in Canada. I feel like it was like the Wild West. But man, Switzerland, they're going right through the mountains. So if you applied that same type of technology underground in America and going through and connecting all the cities, I could easily see that building these
Hmm.
tunnel systems.
Yeah, it's interesting. And then back to the boomers, when all that stuff happens, unfortunately, sorry guys, but we don't live forever. They're going to be gone when these things are happening. And it's kind of like when you come in as a president, any president, guys, left or right, when you come in as a president and you put in some stuff in action that doesn't really happen quite like right away, but then it has repercussions like 20 years later. It's those
Right.
kind of decisions you make then that make the future or the whatever
And
dystopian future, I guess.
that's one of the things that pissed me off the most about the boomers. I think that's actually where a lot of my boomer hate came from because I have a boomer mom and dad, and I'm
Mhm.
sure you do too. And man, like this group of people would sacrifice the economy, they would sacrifice our futures so that they could live in a nursing home for a few more years
Mhm.
without worrying about dying from COVID. I'm like, bro, you're 80. You're 75. Like you're at the end, and if you die from a cold or from a flu virus, dude, you got to live your best life already. Like
And not to be
why do you
shitty,
have to
but you wouldn't be the first person in history to be 75 or 80 years old dying from the fucking flu. Yeah.
right? Like, no, these guys want their golden pedestal and all they want to live to be 100 in there and just suck the healthcare system dry as much
Mhm.
as they can. And then at the end of the day, Derek gets his tin can of like old baseball cards and maybe some old cigarettes, and there's your inheritance, buddy. Go for it.
Right. Well,
For
it
a
is
bunch of shit
interesting.
that you don't want.
You had sent me a bunch of notes on like, we are living through crazy times. It's kind of like Sam Tripoli says sometimes. It's like, is there more stuff going on or are we just more aware? And it's kind of both. I mean, there is more awareness because we have our phones and social media and all this shit to see atrocities every damn day, whether we want to or not. Look at the Charlie Kirk thing, look at whatever else, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But there's a bunch of like boomer situations that have happened through their lives that I guess the whole pull yourself up by your bootstraps and just move on with life. And at least this generation and other generations are like sitting there going like, hey man, that thing's kind of crazy that just happened. You want to like, let's talk about that for a minute. And you're like, nope, got to go to work tomorrow. Got to do this. Like, and it's like, yeah, but anyways, what are your thoughts on like some of the stuff like that you had sent me?
Dude, okay, so it's wild. Like, so I did a little bit of research coming into this because, I first of all I wanted to totally flame broil these guys, but as I was doing the research, I started to have a little bit of compassion for them because I mean we've talked about our traumas that we've lived through watching this shit, and I feel like these guys are even more disconnected because they're kind of the first ones to have TV.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like the first ones to trust the news and all these things
Mesmerized
happening.
by it.
They were mesmerized, and I actually think that the human psyche can't take that level of deceit. Like everything that they were shown had to have been true, and if it's not, then their whole lives, their whole reality has been a complete lie. And I don't think that their minds could actually handle that.
That's a good
So
point.
go
Shatter reality.
right. So one of the things that you and I have talked about multiple times is JFK. JFK assassination being televised is like to me that's probably the ultimate boomer trauma. You're like
Hmm.
a an 8-year-old, a 10-year-old boy or girl, and you're sitting there watching the TV and you watch JFK get his brains blown out. Like what could
Yeah.
be more traumatic than that? That is messed up. That's just
Yeah.
a great starting point.
It just starts. Yeah, exactly. And I'll just slightly bring my dad up a little bit, but a certain thing
Sure.
like, okay, my dad's born in 61. So 63, my dad can use this like, well, I was alive when it happened. My dad's like, you're 2 fucking years old, like, so that's
Yeah.
not really, okay, I was 11 or yeah, 11 about to turn 12 or whatever when 9/11 happened. And so it's like, okay, do I have an 11-year-old's eyes to be able to see the world or a 50-year-old's eyes to be able to see the world? An 11-year-old's not going to understand, but he's going to understand more than the 2-year-old that didn't even see the
Hmm.
damn JFK thing. He just grew up with it being a talking point of trauma in your life at that current era of times. So my point is just like some of these things, even if they didn't see them, it was like in the ether and the zeitgeist or whatever, to where it was just
Exactly.
all encompassing in a way.
Well, think about that. The 9/11 kind of energetic fallout for years, right? Going to the airports, going. So
Yeah,
your dad might have been 2, but let's say by the time he's 5, there's still this weird energy,
vibe. Yeah.
this vibe of, and JFK was beloved, right? Like he was a great president, like charismatic,
Hmm.
and the population loved him. And for him to get his brains blown out, and then the
Hmm.
whole conspiracy behind who the hell did it, and unlocking. I'm sure that there are big time triggers that they don't even know that they're going through when when us people like us talk about the conspiracy because we weren't alive at that time. It offends them.
It is kind of different where we always talk about like how the feminizing of men. I just kind of started thinking about this because like
Sure.
we talk about these things, but the difference is like we're not talking about like, oh, I feel like this today, or I feel sad, or I feel like a girl, or some bullshit. We're like, no, no, we're talking about like, hey man, this thing's got like a lot of red flags to it. We should maybe question this thing a little bit. And it's
Hmm.
almost the same as how like when men do go through therapy, sometimes if they have trauma and then they can unlock that shit and talk about it, it can help you. So it's
Yeah.
almost like the boomers did the same thing where even if they were sad or something happened or their dog died or whatever, they just sucked it up and went about it. And there's a respect to that, but it haunts you eventually, is my
Hmm.
point. So same thing with like conspiracies nowadays. We're more open to talk about this instead of talking about our feelings. We're just questioning the world, questioning reality. And back then they were just like, nope, it's linear. It's a straight line. You go this way and that's the way. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Well, and um, I think Vietnam obviously is a huge boomer thing.
Yeah.
And it's interesting being knowing what we know now. When I was younger, I used to think, "Oh man, those hippies, they were pussies because they were draft dodgers. They didn't want to go to the war." But knowing what we know now, it's like, "Holy shit, they're actually pretty smart." Like why would you go into the purposefully created meat grinder of
Mhm.
Vietnam where they're doing all these psychological operations, weather modifications. It's an unwinnable war, and then it's so bad that you actually have to fake a moon landing like in the middle of it.
Mhm.
And I actually think that maybe the moon landing ties in with having to be this like great distraction from how fucking brutal that, like, it's almost like Vietnam was their Epstein Island at the time because it was
Think
that
about
bad.
history repeats itself, dude. We're talking 60 years ago, 55 to 65 years ago in these events of times. Hear me out. History is repeating itself all over again. Okay. So you got a charismatic figure like JFK, you got a charismatic figure of Trump. JFK gets shot, Trump gets shot at, hypothetically, air quotes, whatever you want to call it. Then, okay, we're in this war with Iran right now, but it's not a war, but we won the war, but it's not over. But the demands are the strait needs to be open and they need no nuclear weapons. And then now the strait's closed and they're talking about making nuclear weapons. Point is, it's just like Vietnam all over again. The war is not going as told to the public and it's being flip flopped every single day with even Trump in one conversation. We'll say 5 different things in one paragraph. And you're like, which is it, dude? My point is, so then that's going bad. What did we just have? This Artemis 2 rocket launch, okay, to the moon, the same fucking playbook, and it's like we've got social unrest in the streets, we've got all this like we got liberals are going crazy, which sounds like the hippie movement, which I'm not saying liberals are speaking truth, but like, okay, I'm a former Republican, but I'm more libertarian if you want to classify me anything, maybe a little anarchist. But nowadays you look at it and you're like, well, no, burn it all down. So you kind of agree with the hippies too. So I get what you're
Mhm.
saying. It's like it's repeating all over again.
It's wild. They're not. They're. It's actually sad how uncreative these guys are that pull the puppet strings. Their playbook isn't massive. It's just basically distraction after distraction, and then we're getting distracted from the distractions.
Mm-hmm.
And once we kind of break it down this way, obviously you and I have to go about and live our days, but it is important to talk about these things and bring it up with people so that at least there's this awareness, so that the next time they do something, more people will be like looking at the news and just say, "Oh, this is BS." Like I can see it right away. I can smell it. Like
Yeah.
these guys, they were already talking about it happening, and now it's happened. Oh, okay. Well, something's up, right? At least
There's
we're calling
something
it before it happens.
there's something about like the propaganda doesn't it doesn't win on this generation or like
Hmm.
younger generations than the boomers, let's say Gen X, Gen Z, millennials, whatever. Even like 15-year-olds and shit are talking about the tiny hat problems and stuff. And you're like, whoa, shit, dude. Now, I don't know if that can go to bad extremes, but it also is like, hey, there's people noticing shit in the world of everything. And then they're throwing out aliens now and everything else. And you're like, dude, we're just so overly distracted that they're just bombarding us with stuff now to where the propaganda does not work as well as like, okay, when I had Crow 777 on last week, we talked about propaganda in the news. And even if Walter Cronkite and guys like that were telling you lies to their face, you could actually believe them. And then that story would sit and stew for like 2 weeks. Nowadays, we get 2 weeks worth of stories in one day, and they don't have time to practice their propaganda. So the people giving you the news reports aren't believable. So then you're like, what the fuck is this? And that, so I'm saying, like, yeah, people are just noticing that it's a crumbling establishment, the propaganda of the news.
I don't even think that Jewish people could handle the actual truth of what's going on, because I asked my dad, who lived in Russia back in the day. I said, "Did you know anything, or did you talk to your parents about World War II and what was happening to the Jews? Did you guys know anything?" Because the Russians were getting massacred too by their own government. And he's like, "No, no one ever talked about
Starved as
that."
well. Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm not saying that the like Holocaust, I'm not saying that didn't happen. I actually think that the Jewish people in Europe, or whatever they are, the Ashkenazis or
Yeah.
whatever, I think that they were actually Russian Jews that maybe migrated and things like that from
Uh
that
huh.
area. But I actually think that they were sacrificed by people like the Rockefellers. I think that they were thrown in the meat grinder on purpose to basically create Israel.
Yes.
And they were just
That's a
a
rabbit
happy,
hole. You get
yeah,
into like George Soros. Was it Soros or was it Schwab? I think it's Schwab, Klaus Schwab. He was a Jew and he was a boy helping find fucking houses of, like ratting out Anne Franks and stuff like that, and you're like,
really?
so selling out his own people. Yeah, he brags
Oof.
about it. Dozens and dozens of like, oh, not like one Freudian slip. You said it one time in an interview. Like, no, he brags about it in so many interviews that he was like, I was part of it. But it's
Right.
insane that nobody's ever called him out. But my point is yeah, like I think a lot of them were actually sacrificed by their own. And there is a
Right.
weird that like, oh, you can't say that. No, it's not anti-Semitism. It's just questioning history. If we know that most of history is a lie, anyways, why would this one thing be 100% factual then?
And it's the same playbook. If you actually look at the playbook, you sacrifice a certain group of people. You force your hand to get them to go in a certain direction.
Mm-hmm.
What did they want to do? They wanted to use that to create Israel, and they
Yes.
did. They needed blood on the ground in order to justify. Just, dude, it's the same playbook over and over again, and it's not like there's good guys and bad guys. It's bad guys at the top funding both things to make whatever sick ant farm, because we're ants, right? All of us. They're just figuring out what kind of ant farm they want to, screw
Literally
around
like
with.
the
And
movie, the animated movie Ants, with the grasshopper giving the speech about if these ants knew how strong they were, if they all rose up together, but they could take out the
exactly.
grasshoppers. You're like, perfect speech. And you're like, holy shit, we are the ants. Yeah.
Exactly. So what do they try and do? They try and sow this division. They try and say that we're all different. And what do I say? I'm like, no, dude, we're all the exact same, and they use the exact same playbooks on all of us, including themselves, to get what they want. Like these guys are
Hmm.
freaks. Like these are not regular. We are regular people, and these guys that orchestrate these things, these are not normal people. These are just,
Hmm.
just these freaks playing Nintendo with real human lives. It's wild. It's
Well,
it's wild.
and it goes to like back to not questioning. It's okay to question. You're not going to get an answer to anything. No human's going to have the answer to everything. But don't be, an ostrich with your head in the sand or whatever that analogy is.
Hmm.
But like a lot of the like boomers and older guys and stuff, they'll still do this. Oh, Israel's our greatest ally. Israel, like Ted Cruz's and these dipshits that they were promised this land thousands of years ago. You're like, wait a minute, don't we argue all the time about arbitrary borders drawn by humans? And then, but
Hmm.
this one over here, we're not going to argue about this one. And it has nothing to do with the religion. It has to do with a control of a government in a region of the world to use it as a launch pad for basically a central area of all the Middle East. So what that does is it gives us like almost a USA 2.0 for our military industrial complex, right? We're complicit
Right.
in that. So my point is though, is like with these people have been blinded by there's been how many presidents, was it Truman or Eisenhower on his farewell speech talking about the military industrial complex, blah, blah. He's like fucking 4-star general or whatever. And my point is like, these are guys warning you, like, whoa, I rose up in the ranks, but I see the dark side of it, right? Yeah,
Hmm.
Luke Skywalker, not going to the dark side kind of shit. But my point
I
is,
think
is
it's
like they think Israel is this greatest ally, but we go through since the inception of Israel, and the boomers don't even want to look at any of the atrocities that have happened in the Middle East on behalf of Israel.
I think there's a lot of red flags, and the so Israel is like a slippery fish because the Jews want to be a race, a religion. They just want to be this big catch-all. So as soon as you
Mm-hmm.
say anything, it's not good. And you know what? Most of those people are great people. Um, are they a race? I don't think so. I think that if you're Jewish, I think that that's a religion. That's a belief system. You and I tomorrow we could go take a course and we could become Jewish.
Right. Well, to me, I don't
That
think they're
doesn't
a
make us a
race.
different race.
Bingo, the exact point. I don't think that makes you a race because if you can change religions, which you're allowed to do, how many people turn to Muslim or to Islam or I
Right.
mean, whatever. But it's the same thing. But that doesn't mean that like if you're a Chinese guy and you convert to Muslim, that you're now a brown skin guy. No, you're still a
Right.
yellow skin guy. You know what I'm saying? Like that's as
Yeah.
ridiculous as me saying, you know what, tomorrow I decided I converted to black. You're like, but you're not black. I said I am though. It's the same as pronouns. you know,
Right. Right.
you can't make that
So
argument.
so if they want to get really specific, then they want to start talking bloodlines, but they don't want to say that. For some
Mm-hmm.
reason they don't want to talk about bloodlines. It's
You
like,
can't
"Oh,
do
I'm
no
Jewish." No, you're
can't do no
not.
DNA
Like,
tests.
right, you can't do a DNA test on your religion because any Jewish guy could become a Muslim, any Jewish guy could become a Christian, whatever, right?
I
If
mean, literally in
they're
Israel, though, DNA tests are banned. You cannot do DNA tests in Israel, and there's
why
kind
is
of a
that, Derek?
reason. Why is
What's the
that? Yeah,
why is that?
because we're a
It's
protected class, and we can't have our little fucking glass tower shatter on us. You know?
Oh man. You know about the Greater Israel Project? We were talking a little bit about
Oh
you were
yeah, the
mentioning.
one that the IDF has that nice patch on their badge, their uniforms. Have you
Yeah,
seen
so
that?
once you start digging into that, it's like, "Oh, okay, so there is a greater plan. There is a big plan for expanding the region."
Didn't
So,
a guy with a tiny mustache do that once? It was
they're
bad
called
for him
great
to
leaders,
expand.
Derek.
He wasn't the chosen people to expand his regions. The others are.
Right?
But
Like Genghis
it's still
Khan, Alexander
ridiculous.
the
Is it not
Great.
the same? Yeah, exactly. Well, but Netanyahu just said Genghis Khan. Jesus is not a winner. Genghis Khan is. You're like, what the fuck did you just say, dude? He basically said, you won't win with love. You'll win with power. Look at Genghis Khan. He was stronger than Jesus. And you're like, dude, dude,
And that's how you get hit by lightning.
not yet. Maybe a
Not yet.
tomahawk eventually. No.
Eventually, Tomahawk missile. Yeah, what is it going to take for America to break free of this I want to call it like a cancer. I want to call it a a parasite. What is it going to take for America to get rid of this parasite that is controlling the helm? Because you look at all these senators and these guys, they all have dual citizenship. Like
Hmm.
it's this weird, crazy safe haven, just like Switzerland, where if you're a pedophile, you can go there and you won't be tried. It's your
Greece as
safe
well.
space.
Yep, Greece as well. Greece is
Greece
another
as
one.
well. Yeah,
But
it's
then that gets into the old Greek, mythology and symposiums and orgies with little boys, and like, whoa, okay, you're still keeping old traditions alive too. It sounds like.
man. Back in my day, I don't want to sound like an old man, but back in my day, you had to be born in that country to get into politics and get further and further ahead. And now it just seems like you can have as many passports as you want. It doesn't matter.
I think it's how it should be, honestly, don't you?
I think that a person in power politically should always have the best interest of the people since you work for the people. And somewhere along the line in Canada, in America, the politicians forgot that they work for the people and they're just like ruling kings now and they just do whatever the fuck they want to do. And that's
Yeah.
driving me bananas.
Here's a funny thing I just thought of was we were just talking about like these overreaches of power and government and shit right now. What if, okay, we give a little olive branch and a benefit of the doubt to the boomers in the thought that, like I said a little bit earlier, their propaganda was better, at least, whether it was still bullshit lies. I mean, okay, you can watch the moon videos and stuff like that, and you're like, dude, this looks ridiculous, looking at it. Or atomic bomb testing sites, you're like, that's a Barbie house, you know. But my
Yeah.
point is, the
Yeah.
person reporting could make you believe it. They
Hmm.
were spellcasters. They were better at it. Nowadays, most of these people are just like, hey, Fox News, get a pretty blonde with big tits on here. Hey, get a guy with a comb over haircut and he's ex, I don't know, Marine or some shit. Get your talking point guy up here. Get your, your little perfect cookie cutter cutout. But my point is with the boomers, they had better propaganda in a lot of ways because the spells were easier to believe because the magician was better. The magician nowadays is like failing every trick, and you're like, oh shit, I'm seeing right through it at this point. But I don't know, like it seems like they also allowed a lot of this to happen with just policy changes and things like that because they were so sidetracked. They were so believed in the guy that was over here that they saw nothing over here. Nowadays, we don't
Right.
believe the news story right away. So we're like, yeah, this guy's lying. So, anyways, and then we go into another rabbit hole and realize, like, wait, Congress just passed what bill? What the fuck is going on over here? Like, it's there's more to notice. I don't know. It's like I feel
Yeah.
bad for the older generation in some ways, but I'm also kind of like, I'm still pissed off at them a little bit too. I'm
I feel
rambling, but you
bad.
know what I
I
mean.
feel bad for the news guys now because think about back in the old days, like you'd watch the news maybe after dinner and
Yeah.
maybe read the newspaper. Like they had time to create their stories. They had time to do these with a 24-hour cycle. Man, I swear they probably were starting to use AI to generate, okay, what are we going to do next?
Yes.
Like
Possibility,
what,
like a
how,
book writer. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, like using it because we know that the technology is like AI is old now. Like the government's probably had it for 20 years. And
Yeah.
now they're just like did what they needed to do and now they've figured out a way to weaponize it against us. Now we're going to basically turn our brains off, rely completely on AI. But I bet you they were using AI to create movies, books, news stories, all these different things to shape the attention span and the consciousness of the mass public, which basically shapes the reality of what we're living in.
Yeah. I was watching Starship Troopers last night and I'm like, okay, this is like 97, something like that, 98, I believe. I think it's 97. But anyways, the CGI in that movie still holds up. I mean, there's
Hmm.
not a whole lot of 90s movies where the CGI holds up. I was watching it. I mean, I watch it like, I don't know, once every year or two or something like that. It's just
Is
awesome.
good.
But I'm
Is
just
good.
like, dude, watching those hordes of the fucking arachnids and stuff and watching it, like, that's all CGI. And this is actually really impressive for the time. And so to
Hmm.
think of it nowadays and look back and go, that was impressive. To live through some of that then, which I did. I had it on VHS, dude. I watched that, wore that out. Still should have
Yeah,
picked Diz over Carmen. But anyways,
yeah.
um, but my point is that the shit was so impressive then. And if they were able to do impressive shit then, What the hell were they able to do that it didn't show us? So yeah, AI algorithms and CGI and all these things, like we think it's really new and at its peak now. No, we're seeing old technology at this point.
Right, exactly. And I mean, the whole moon landing thing is so ridiculous and it looks so bad. And these, like the defenders of the scientism, will always say, "Oh, we didn't have CGI. We didn't have the technology back then to create this. How could they have faked it? Because we didn't even have the technology." Dude, you had the technology to get to the moon, but you didn't have the technology to create a video that could be possibly fake.
Right.
Like the actual thing is 10 times more impressive than if you were to try and fake it.
Right, right.
It's
They
crazy.
just it's just lies, man. It's all lies. I don't know. I mean, and then like you said, we got the moon landings, we got all this shit, and then all of a sudden by the mid 80s or whatever, when the Challenger explosion was, like, oh, we'll just forget
Hmm.
about NASA for a while because I had this black stain on it, and
Yep.
we'll move on to something else. And then right after that, you actually kind of have Daddy Bush and
Is
Gulf
that when they got
War. And
away from space shuttles? When the Challenger blew up? Did they stop using space shuttles then?
no, they still use space shuttles in the 90s. They were on a rocket, I believe. Were they on a space shuttle? I believe they were on a
Oh, it was a
rocket.
space shuttle. Yeah, it was a space
Was it
shuttle when it
space
blew
shuttle?
up.
Okay, okay. I knew they
Yeah.
still used them through the 90s though, but
Okay.
they just died down on like the public appeal of NASA. NASA was still doing some shit here. Remember they had like the Mars little rover thing in the 90s, the flat
Mm.
the one that had the flat like solar panel on top of it, like, but nobody was
Dude, it's
buying
so
NASA shit
embarrassing.
anymore. Yeah.
It's so embarrassing. It's so embarrassing. And to think about this, like think about it. You are a little kid and you are watching the greatest achievement ever by man on their first try, land on the moon, walk around, and then come and fly back. And then you are told by a bunch of dipshits like us that that is the fakest, dumbest shit ever. Like we are literally decapitating Santa Claus to boomers when we say that the moon landing is fake.
Right.
Like decapitating and desecrating that skull, like as we
Right.
fuck it.
Yeah. Some Talmudic shit. No.
Yeah, that is what we are doing to boomers when we say the moon landing is fake. But like guys, like I know that your brains can't handle it, but that's what it is. It's so
Well, it's a
fake, it
funny
hurts.
thing too of that, they're so invested in sports or things like that. I mean, like, okay, we're both wrestling fans. Um, we grew up watching all the different iterations, WCW, WWF, blah blah blah. Also, random tidbit: Marty Jannetty just had one of his feet amputated. Was announced
What?
this morning. Yeah, dude.
Oh
Well, he's
no.
bad alcoholic
Diabetes
and
or
party
what?
crazy guy. So I'm wondering if
Yeah, I know.
diabetes or alcoholic diabetic kind of situation. But anywho, my point is we know that wrestling is fake. That's the thing, is like, but we still enjoy it for what it is. I watched Starship Troopers last night. I watched
Yeah,
spaceships flying in the sky, and I know it's fucking fake, but I'm still enjoying it for being a fake thing. These
exactly.
boomers and shit, they saw something on TV one time in 69 and they fucking imprinted it in their brain. Meanwhile, we saw Charlie Kirk get his brain blown out. And hey, here's the 3 times Zoom video and see it 500 more times. Like, we got more of that bullshit shoved on us than they did back then. But they
Yeah,
still
yeah.
imprinted that one time, that one fucking time. It's kind of crazy, man. It's like
Yeah,
our
yeah.
9/11 in a way, but yeah, it's like you remember where you were when it happened.
It's crazy, man. So I did make a couple other notes here about Watergate. So that's a big thing, man. Nixon
Mm-hmm.
going down. That's a big thing. When you watch your president basically be indicted. I mean, we had Bill Clinton sucking dick or getting his dick sucked.
Maybe both, allegedly.
Or yeah, or probably both. Probably both. And
Hi, Hillary Clinton, friend of the show. Hey, thanks for listening.
Derek's number 63 on the dartboard.
69, dude. 69.
69. Okay, go. We have goals. We all have goals. Derek wants to be
Right.
69. Okay, boomers had MK Ultra. I don't know if they've even do, but boomers even know about MK Ultra.
I
But
know.
most of them have been MK Ultra to some degree,
We got MK Premium, but continue.
right?
Sorry. Bad joke.
Yeah, MK Platinum. That's what we have.
Platinum.
Uh,
Diamond status.
so CIA assassination attempt plots, MK Ultra, the Vietnam War ending in a complete disaster. Basically, America walks out of there just like Afghanistan, if not
Afghanistan, yeah,
worse.
I was trying not to talk, but yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude, it's the same fucking
People
playbook,
hanging off fucking helicopters, the fall of Saigon and all, dude. Yeah, exactly.
dude. And that's not cool, man. And then these people come in and they raise us, and traumatic people traumatize people,
Hurt
hurt
people. Yep.
hurt people, hurt people. And I don't think that they can even acknowledge their own traumas. And that's a huge problem. If you can't even acknowledge the shadow and the shit that you're going through, then you have this like I like to call it a spiritual parasite or a spiritual shadow just leeching onto you where you cannot deal with the good or the bad of reality. This is a problem, especially when you're going to start dealing with younger generations. Never mind Gen X and Y, but now you got Gen Z, bananas. Like Gen Z
Hmm.
doesn't want none of your shit.
Well, it's a little bit of going through the motions kind of thing. And there's a little of all of us in life that we're both parents, we're both married, we have wives and jobs and kids and sports ball to take the kids to and other activities and bullshit. Like there is an old Joe Dirt keep on keeping on mentality of things where just shit
Yep.
happens. You just got to go with the flow. I do get that to an extent because that's half my life. The other half of my life is going, hey, man, what if there's another thought? What if there's another thing out there? What if there's this? What if it's, it's like we get back into that ants mode of we're just following in line like the ants on a log. And then there's the
Yeah.
one ant like you or me that steps one step over there, like, get back in line. Like, why are we all in a line? And then you ask one stupid question, like it's like Owen Benjamin. Half of his questions are like that's what he says all the time. Is like I just ask a stupid little question, and it pisses everybody off about the moon landing or about this. It's just a basic little kid question, and it's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
yeah, because you're just questioning authority in the simplest respectful fashion. You're just like, well, why can't I step over here instead of staying the following in the line? Like that's my point. It's like the boomers just followed in line until it's the frog in the boiling pot. Just 1 inch more, or I mean, 1 degree more, 1 degree more, and feels like a hot tub now. And oh shit, we're
You
frog
know,
legs.
okay, so for the sake of equality, as fucked up as white boomers are, um, how and I don't know if I've talked about this with you on the show before, but it's very upsetting how weaponized black people and black culture is now. Because when you think about it, you had young black boomers witness Malcolm X and Martin Luther King being
Mm-hmm.
assassinated. Those are like incredibly great men, whichever conspiracy theory, let's just say that they're great men,
Yeah,
great leaders, inspiring. And
and
now all of a
especially
sudden the
to
CIA,
those communities. Yes, exactly.
exactly.
That
So all of a
that's
sudden the
their big
CIA is
guys.
like, yeah, CIA is like, nah, this, we don't want this. We don't want whatever. We're going to maybe, I don't know if the CIA was responsible for Black Panthers, but, or if they were responsible for Malcolm X or whatever. But I'm just saying when you are a press culture and then you have these great leaders and then they get taken out by who knows? I mean, those are conspiracies on their own. That is psychologically traumatic.
The white Charlie
Then,
Kirk. Yeah, exactly.
yeah, and then you introduce drugs and gangs into major cities. These people, these boomers, when or maybe not even boomers, but when basically people in America went to war, um, black people moved to the bigger cities. They worked in the factories. They had good jobs. They started to become middle class, right?
Yeah,
That was
yeah,
actually great for their
and
community.
good
There
for
was
them. Yes,
and
exactly.
good for them, exactly.
That was the best middle
And
finger to the white man, not gang banging and doing stupid shit. Exactly. Yes.
exactly. So now you have all these traumatic things happen. We got to get rid of strong black men like Malcolm X, Martin Luther. Malcolm X to me is probably one of the strongest black men figures
Absolutely.
that
Yeah.
you could ever have. Like if I was black, that would be my superhero is
And
Malcolm
then some of
X.
his final speeches, even as he condemned the white man many times early, like I have a lot of respect for Malcolm X because he was a man that learned. Like
Sure.
before his death, like he started learning and he just do it the same as Martin Luther King, and he's got his bag of bones and other shit too. But they weren't a problem when they were only talking to the black community. Once they spread their message to every community, they were like, got to get this guy out of here. And that's what happened
Yeah,
with
yeah.
Malcolm X. He realized like they've militarized me against the white man. And that's the government. That's not the white man doing that, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, oh shit, it's like an awakening moment. And then next thing you know,
Yeah.
he's gone.
I wish there would be a mass awakening in that community because watching basically these freaks weaponized gangster rap, the prison
Yep.
system, getting rid of the fathers, and then introducing drugs and gangs. Like, dude, like this is insane. Like, this is an
Prison
insane.
industrial complex. Yeah.
Right. It's just an insane thing watching it. And then in real time, you and I, like, I'm almost 50 now, and I've watched how we could have the Cosby Show and Family Matters to what's going on now with this. Like, people are just like stealing,
Yeah.
just
Blatant,
unapologetically
brazen.
because they're owed something.
Yeah.
And it's like, holy smokes, man, this and but it's all meant to turn us all against each other. It's just so
Yeah.
wild to watch it. To
Well, there's
you
a
know
lot of
be
older and I've dude, I love a lot of older black people because I've worked a lot of construction jobs and stuff, and I've worked with older white guys, Mexican guys, black dudes, blah blah blah, guys that teach me all kinds of cool shit, Native American dudes and stuff.
yeah, yeah,
And a lot of the older black guys, like I'm talking like grandpa age, right? That are in machine shops and teaching you the old school tricks and techniques and stuff. Most of them will tell you that they were pretty much told to hate the white man. Like they were grown up to see it, like kind of what you're saying, and then it gives this weird generational trauma for their kids and then their grandkids, and then here we are now. It's like the weak men create hard times kind of shit.
right. But it's not us. Like I was telling you that my algorithm is just constantly trying to make me racist, and it's like you can't do that to me because
Mhm.
I'm too aware of the fact that it's it's not about race. It's about these crazy people, the puppet masters, just basically trying to create civil war constantly to keep the attention away from them. Because
Mhm.
as soon as everybody figures it out, we all get our torches and pitchforks. They're gonna have to run underground and hide. And guess what, Derek? I got the blueprints. I know how to get into their little hatches and stuff like that, and we'll smoke them out. We'll be fine. We'll get them. They're
Dude,
not
you
gonna
just
hide
reminded
down
me of a
there.
damn Owen Benjamin joke when he was you said torches and pitchforks. So you remember the Charlottesville thing? the
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Charlottesville protest or whatever it
yeah. That
was,
was
the white
crazy.
nationalists, or whatever, and they all had the tiki torches. And Owen
Yeah.
Benjamin, one of the things that kind of got him canceled at the time, because he said like he asked like stupid little kid questions, and then they're like, "Oh, that's offensive," which sometimes they're in the name of comedy, they're funny as shit, but they're slightly offensive. But he basically said he's like, "Oh man, we hear that the black community when they get bit by mosquitoes, they have a higher chance of getting malaria than the white people do. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna walk through the neighborhoods. We're gonna have a bunch of tiki torches, and that way, it'll put off the what the hell the chemical is against mosquitoes." And I'm
So,
like, oh my god,
yeah.
that is like one of the funniest and worst jokes of all time. but
Oh man, that's
but
wild.
anyways, it's all propaganda too, because then we end up seeing that whole thing, even to give Trump a little bit of credit. I mean, deserves a lot. No, I'm joking. But give Trump a little bit of credit. The whole good people on both sides thing, that was taken out of context, and that's the media lying to you again. Because when he said that, there was like a 40-minute or 30-minute difference between the two sentences they spliced together out of like a 50-minute speech or whatever. So, anyways, I'm just getting at like it's hilarious that there's still to this day, whether it's Black Panthers scaring the white people or what was the wasn't Patriot Front, whatever group it was that was out there, the Proud Boys or whatever that was out there marching
Mm.
that day. They're using that to scare the black people again, or they're whatever. Dude, they're just repeating the same playbook. And you're like, dude, you guys just ran out of pages in your book and you're starting from the beginning again. Like, we've already seen this shit, but people are still
Yeah,
buying it.
yeah. So, but getting back to boomers, because I know we're getting closer to the end here. One of the things that we probably should all be outraged about, and they don't want us to talk about, which is a reason why we should talk about it, is the housing crisis. And this is actually because of them.
Mm-hmm.
And they are very brutal when it comes to this kind of stuff. So I got some figures here, and people can just do whatever they want. But I did put the angle into my research as well with BlackRock, and apparently that is not as bad as everybody is making it out to be. That BlackRock's buying all the single family homes and things like that. It's actually the boomers. So
Okay.
boomers are holding
Holding.
38% of
Gotcha.
America's homes right now.
Yeah.
They're sitting. This is in just in America, not Canada, but I'm guessing if we did 10 times less because we have 10 times less the population, it would probably be about the same as in Canada. But
Yeah,
boomers own
equatable.
38% of American homes. They're sitting on $17 trillion in home equity.
Ooh,
Uh, and they made up for 42. So boomers made up for 42% of home purchases in 2025, which is insane because they should be
uh-huh.
going into nursing homes, not buying homes. While Gen Z and younger millennials combined for 15% of home purchases
Wow.
in
Yeah, they're saying
2025.
like most people aren't buying their first home until, if they even can, until basically almost 40, 35 to 40-ish. It just kind of keeps going up like 1 year each year, you know?
Yep. And this is because of them. This is disgusting. And there's no amount of Starbucks that we can save to
Right.
try and catch up with this inflation. And meanwhile, if boomers are sitting on 8 homes, why wouldn't they just gift it to their children? It's like
Yeah.
here's a free house. Why should a millennial or a Gen Z have to even buy a home if their boomer parents own 7 or 8?
Yeah. And then that kills the buyer's market too, because there's no buyers, it's just inheritance. But
Isn't that
then that
insane too?
also enhances the government as well, because then you got, your fucking inheritance tax and all this. So there's a tax on everything. Hey, the house
Yeah,
is
yeah,
paid off. Well, you're paying property tax on it. Yeah, but I inherited it. Oh, you inherited it? Well, you're paying property tax and inheritance tax. Like, oh shit, man. Like,
right.
thought I was
So
getting a
the
free
average
house.
So the average first-time home buyer in America in 91 was 28, and now the first-time homeowner in 2024 is 38 years old. You're almost 40. You're living in your parents' basement or your three's companying like Jack Tripper, and you're 38 years old
Yeah.
and you're buying your first house. Dude, that is absolutely insane. Because
We're
when I was a
building our
kid,
first house within the year, but it does suck because yeah, I'll be 37 this year. So it actually
oh
fits me
wow.
right into that stereotype. And I'm like, holy shit.
So are
But we're
you
not just
renting a
like
home?
buying it. Yeah, we've been renting a home. But
Oh,
we've got an
okay.
awesome landlord. He's just a cool older guy that we've known, like her family's known forever. He's actually pretty famous. He's like an old black rodeo guy from small town Okmulgee. But anywho,
So
he's coolest landlord
about
ever. So that's why we just stayed here. We're like, well, fuck it, we'll just stay here for a little bit because we're saving up to build the house that we're
sure.
building the house of our dreams, to build one house and stay in that house with like 10 to 15 acres kind of thing.
Right.
So not
Well,
like house jumping like people do.
that's awesome. So I'm a little bit well, I'm older than you. So I'm born in 1978. I'm Gen X. I actually saw it as a failure when I got married. I was 20, almost 21 when I got married, and I saw it as almost a failure that I couldn't move out and buy a house immediately.
I agree. It's just
That
impossible now. But you're 100% right. I
but that
1000.
was my worldview. That my goal was to move out, get married, move out, and own a home right away. But I couldn't, so lived in an apartment, and I didn't buy my first house until I was about 28 years old, and that was a big deal. And even then,
Mhm.
I thought that I was really late to the party
Yeah, yeah.
because I figured by 25 I should be done university, I should have a house, all these things. So I was really hard on myself,
It's
and
these
it was
standards the
already
boomers made. The boomers made these standards for us to think that
sure,
just because they were able to do it then, that you should be able to do it now, as if nothing has ever changed economically or
yeah,
financially or anything whatsoever in the world. And then, yeah, I mean, you obviously still had your mind dedicated to do it, but in your own self as a man felt like, well, I'm kind of behind on it, but at least I got it done. There's that pride in doing it, right? But there's people that are lazy as shit and they don't even care and they're going to rent until they're 70 years old, or they have no drive. That's where I'm like, we're not going to buy a house. Like some people will buy a house and then 5 years later move and buy a different house and then buy a different. I'm
hmm
like, that is too much bullshit to deal with. You buy a house when you're ready to, like, in my opinion, I want to settle down and have my farm and fucking land and everything. So
right.
I want to build what I want to build and never move again is my plan, and nobody knows where
That's
I'm
smart.
at too. But so yeah, there's the double-edged sword of like jumping right into buying your first house and possibly getting screwed over and you're young or something. But boomers were able to do that back in the day because, oh, I make $12, $8 an hour or whatever, and my wife doesn't work and I have 3 kids and I mean, okay, those times are different than what we live in. I'm not saying that to you. I'm saying that as like a argument
Yeah.
against the boomers because they use that all the
So
time.
and I don't know if I told you this story, but my dad came from Russia, 1972. Him and his whole entire family lived in a small house. I think it was like $5,000. That house.
Hmm.
It was very very small. Not even 800 square feet. 5 or 6 family members lived there. My dad had to work. My grandma had to work. My grandfather was sick. In 5 years, my grandma and my dad paid that house off cash.
Yeah,
5 years. My dad had a brand new Camaro, and he had 2 other cars just for fun. And he was working in a factory, making I think $1.75 an hour.
dude, exactly. The American dream. I mean, that's what the original promise was, man. Is we're like kind of bringing this to a close. Like, that's what the original promise was. Like you're saying, your dad's an immigrant, and that is why immigrants come here. It's like it doesn't nowadays. We're not always shitting on immigrants. We're shitting on the militarization, the takeover. That it's not they're the pawns in the game, and the kings and queens sitting in the freaking congressman's seat or the senator's seat or whatever. They're the ones voting these bills in to bring these people in to replace others. So it's not necessarily an attack on each individual. It's an attack on the mass that is being used as a facade, right? Basically, they're given this
Yeah,
idea of the old dream of what you're talking about with your father, of the American dream. You come over, look at even as the Arnold Schwarzenegger. Instead of, forget the fuck your freedoms or whatever during COVID.
right.
Arnold Schwarzenegger is one of the greatest immigrant stories of all time. You know what I mean? Come over here with nothing in your pocket, become Mr. Olympia, then become movie star, become governor of the biggest state in the U.S. Like, that's an immigrant's dream, and it's the same as your father to be able to have multiple cars and a house and everything. Like, it doesn't exist anymore. That's the sad reality.
Yeah, and that was with no education. And what's going on right now is the financial system is crumbling so massively. I don't want to be a doomsdayer, but it's
Oh, I
crumbling
always am.
so it's crumbling
I'd
so
rather tell you some
massively.
shit that's uncomfortable. But anyways, yeah.
But AI is replacing all the office jobs
Hmm.
completely. Um, and then whatever physical jobs that AI can't replace, they're bringing in third worlders and illegal immigrants to keep wages extremely low so that companies can still make a profit, and they'll figure out whatever loopholes they need to hire these low income people, and then basically us middle class, we're just going to get pushed out. I don't know, like I
Yeah.
don't know at what point the straw on the camel's back breaks, but the middle class and the upper middle class are just going to be like, oh crap, like we
Yeah.
just went from having great jobs and a great position to we just got a bunch of third worlders doing everything and AI is doing the other thing, and we're going to be homeless right away.
Well, and the third worlder thing's
That's
been
going to be a
happening.
problem.
Yeah, it's been happening for a while with the H-1B visas and stuff like that. India, Pakistan, blah blah blah, whatever.
Yep.
And nothing against those countries, but get a fucking high-paying job in your country, whatever. I don't know, man. But the thing is also, right now, Trump with his Xi Jinping visit to China and all this shit, now he's talking about bringing 500,000 Chinese over. So that's not necessarily third world, but he's wanting to bring 500,000 Chinese over here for job programs, for AI, for this and that. And you're like,
Mm.
so you're just bringing in, oh, America's a melting pot. Yeah, America's a melting pot that used to have, like, I don't know, let's say a 70 to 90%, 70 to 80% population of one type. It's not a white nationalist thing. It's just this. When you came to America, you integrated. You knew what the cultures and customs were. You didn't come fucking screaming and waving Mexican flags or whatever Israel flags or whatever other fucking flag. No, like if the 80 it's 80-20 rule. 80% of the population is this, then you can still have a little bit of your own 20%, but you're going to know this is the standard to keep up with, right? So my point
Hmm.
is like, yeah, they're doing it with China. They're blaming the brown people and telling you about India, but now Trump's talking about bringing Chinese over here as well. We got AI data centers popping up everywhere right now. People are mass protesting them in fucking council meetings, and they're getting arrested. And then they're still passing these bills and stuff. Utah is building one the size of like 200 Walmart supercenters. It's like the
Oh
size of
wow.
Manhattan. It's insane,
Meanwhile, we have to get LED light bulbs to save on power,
right? And low flow toilets, no, or
right?
whatever.
So the interesting thing about China is all those people, or most of those people, will be handpicked to
Mm-hmm.
come, and they will be agents of the state. So you're basically importing
Yep.
spies, And not that they're bad people, but they're China first.
Yep.
And what these people will do will gather as much intel as humanly possible, send it back, and they will copy and improve everything. China will win in the end.
Yep.
Like in the absolute long game, America is just toast. Like totally finished. China is so good at manufacturing and copying and improving things that they don't have to fire a single weapon or nuke at America. America will just slit its own throat, and it's America is close to almost as close to communism as it can get because there's not much difference
Yeah.
between extreme communism and extreme capitalism. This
Yep.
crony capitalism is a very few get ultra rich and then sacrifice the absolute rest of everybody.
Yeah.
Like who
In
cares?
5 years, this podcast is gonna be called "Holy Shit." I'll be taken over by the Chinese government because they're already here in sleeper cells and shit, man. Dude, I
Dude,
know.
and
Like
it happened to
we're
Canada.
in chaos.
Huawei
Yeah.
took Nortel in Canada. Our prime minister basically built an underground data tunnel that went straight to China. They stole all of our uh, products, our like everything that our scientists worked on. They just took it all, made it 10 times better, and basically created Chinese Nortel. That's it. Done.
Yep.
And then our prime minister made a shit ton of money on that, retired. Away you go.
Well, exactly. And they're buying our farmland. Bill Gates is buying our farmland. Guys, you better buckle up and get ready for whatever the hell's coming. We don't know. We're not prediction guys. But we just know we're realists that see a bunch of crazy shit going on. So, Dan Bongino, if you're listening out here, just another doomer to come fucking talk some shit about. But whatever, dude. At the end of the day, we're recognizing the world's going crazy. We kind of focused on the old people today, and a lot of it was just complacency. I mean, really, at the end of it, they were just complacent with what was going on, and we're the ones dealing with it, and then our kids and grandkids are going to deal with it, and that's why we need to let's end with a little bit of a white pill. We need to teach now that the end is fucking nigh in a way. Like it's close, but it doesn't have to be close if we do something about it now. It doesn't mean violence. It means build farms, buy fucking farmlands, escape from the city, get away from whatever mass hysteria and crazy shit is going to come off because they're going to do another, whatever COVID 2.0 with this hantavirus that's not even pissing anybody off anyway. It's just making everybody laugh at them. But you can see that they're trying to use the same tactics over and over again. So the quicker you can get the hell away from the cities and this bullshit fake narrative reality that we live in, the better. Alex, brother, you rule, man. Thanks again for doing this on short notice, and remind everybody where they can find you, man.
Yeah, I just wanted to say one last thing.
Yeah.
And for all the boomers out there, please, if you can, help the next generation. You actually do have the power to make a huge difference. And yeah, I mean, we're basically pleading with you. You can actually save. That's how much power the boomers have, is that you can actually save like everybody instead of sacrificing everybody to save yourselves. Like
Yep.
you with your last final breath, you can sacrifice yourself and save us all. And that's to me, that's the white pill. When you're like at the end of the road and you can turn around and help everybody behind you, why wouldn't you do that? So that would be my last message to everybody. And you can find me. I don't know where you can find me. I don't even podcast right now. So my wife and I are
I've
just
been
taking a break from the
everywhere,
Genius
man.
podcast. But I'm going to try and make it to the Sovereign Health Summit. So I've been working on that, and that's going to be a big thing in North
That's cool.
Carolina at the end of October. So check out sovereignhealthsummit.com if you actually care about your health and the health of everybody you know. So that's a huge thing. I would actually love to see Derek there. That would be awesome.
That'd be awesome. When is that?
October 25th to October 31st, somewhere around there. Harmony,
Ah,
North Carolina. I'm going to see you there, my friend.
I'll talk to the missus about that. Hell yeah, dude.
Right? Let's go. There's going to be some amazing people there.
That'd be cool. No kiddo vacation. We're overdue for
No,
sure.
no kids. Just fun.
Well, hey, dude, Alex, you're always a blast, man. Let's do this again soon. Like I said, thanks for doing this on short notice. And I could talk to you all day, man. But Stitt-Heads, guys, look, talked a lot of shit about a lot of people today, and welcome to my show. Sorry if this is your first episode listening, but it's just, talking some reality, just, recognizing shit. That's all we can do. So, guys, keep opening your eyes, pay attention out there, and love your family, dude. Dude, build a family if you ain't got one. Either way, I'll see you next time. Peace out. Ooh.